After the battle, the alien princess said to the commander, "You are special, human." The battle had lasted for days, longer than anyone expected. Human soldiers were exhausted, but retreat was not an option. They were deep inside the alien world of Kalira, fighting a war they had barely prepared for. The alien empire had underestimated them, and Alex knew this was their only chance to turn the tide. He peeked over the wall and saw alien drones moving in formations, their armor glinting under the dim light. The humans had fewer numbers, but they had something the aliens did not: determination. Alex signaled his team with quick hand gestures, and they moved silently across the rubble. Every step was dangerous. An alien drone might spot them, and then there would be no chance to fight back. The human soldiers had fought like lions. Despite the losses, they had adapted to the alien weapons and traps. Alex remembered how the first wave of attacks had left them disoriented. The alien laser turrets could cut through the strongest human shields. Many of his men had fallen, and the ones who survived were badly wounded. Yet somehow, humans had survived. They had learned, and now they were fighting smarter. Alex reached a small building that had once been a control center. Its walls were cracked, and the floor was littered with debris. Inside, he found a few alien engineers hiding. They surrendered immediately when they saw him. Alex looked at their strange faces and glowing eyes. He had seen many aliens in his life, but these were different. They were not just soldiers, they were creators of the machines that had almost destroyed his team. "We are surrendering," one of the aliens said in a strange, melodic voice. Alex nodded, keeping his weapon trained. He knew that victory did not mean everything was safe yet. There were still enemies hiding, still drones patrolling the ruins. He called in for backup, and soon his men joined him. They moved methodically, clearing each room, each hallway. Alex felt the weight of responsibility. Every human life mattered, and every alien they captured could provide intelligence. He was aware that the alien empire had never faced humans like this before. Humans were not just fighting, they were surviving, thinking, and adapting. That was something the aliens had never understood. Outside, the city was a ruin. Tall buildings were half destroyed, smoke rising from broken windows. The streets were littered with debris and bodies. Alex's stomach tightened at the sight, but he could not let himself be distracted. He had a mission: secure the area, protect his men, and ensure the humans survived. Suddenly, a shadow passed overhead. A massive alien ship hovered above the city, scanning the ruins. Its weapons were silent for now, but it was clear it could destroy everything in minutes. Alex signaled for his men to hide. They slipped into a narrow alley, hearts pounding, watching the ship move slowly above. It was a reminder that the battle was far from over. Then a figure appeared at the top of a building. Alex squinted through the smoke. It was not a soldier, not a drone. It was her, Princess Lena. She was watching the city with calm, almost cold eyes. Her presence was unexpected. Humans had never met an alien royal before, and seeing her made the danger feel more real. She was beautiful in a strange, alien way, with flowing robes and glowing patterns on her skin. But Alex did not have time to admire her. He had to keep his team safe. Princess Lena looked down at the ruins, her expression unreadable. She saw humans moving among the rubble, helping the wounded, capturing those who surrendered. She tilted her head and whispered something in her language. The words were lost to Alex, but the tone was curious, almost surprised. She had expected humans to panic, to run, or to die. Instead, she saw determination. Alex moved his team closer to the center of the city. The alien drones were fewer now, their numbers broken by the persistent human attacks. He thought about how far they had come. Only a week ago, humans were struggling to survive the first alien wave. Now they were advancing, reclaiming territory and proving that they were not weak. Every fallen comrade weighed heavily on Alex's mind, but he pushed the thoughts aside. He had to focus. He entered a larger building that had once served as a government center. The doors were cracked, and the inside smelled of smoke and burning metal. Inside, he found more alien soldiers hiding in fear. They dropped their weapons as soon as they saw him. Alex motioned for his men to secure them. They were alive, and that mattered. Even in the midst of war, every life counted. While they were securing the building, Alex noticed a small group of civilians, alien families huddled together, scared and confused. The humans could have ignored them, but Alex did not allow that. He ordered his men to protect them, to move them to a safer area. He saw fear in their eyes, but also trust. Humans were capable of kindness even in the middle of destruction. As the day turned into night, the battle began to slow. The city was quiet, except for the distant sounds of explosions and sirens. Alex stood on a rooftop, looking at the ruined skyline. He thought about what they had achieved. Humans had survived impossible odds. They had taken the city, but at a terrible cost. Many brave men and women would never return home, yet there was a spark of hope. He looked up again and saw Princess Lena watching from another rooftop. She did not approach, but she observed. Alex felt a strange sense of connection. They were enemies, yet somehow they were linked by the events of this battle. He could feel that she was different from the soldiers he had fought before. She was not here to kill. She was here to watch, to understand. Alex returned to his team. He moved through the streets, checking on every soldier. He encouraged them, telling them that they had done something extraordinary. Humans had survived when the odds were against them. They had shown courage, skill, and a will that no alien could break. The soldiers smiled weakly, exhausted but proud. For the first time in days, there was a moment of relief. In the distance, the alien royal guards began to withdraw. Princess Lena's presence remained, but her forces were pulling back. It was a sign that the aliens were reconsidering their approach. Humans had not only survived, they had forced their enemy to pause. Alex realized that this battle was more than a victory. It was a statement. Humans were not easy to defeat. They were not just fighters. They were survivors, thinkers, and sometimes even protectors. That night, Alex set up a temporary command post in the remains of a once grand building. Fires burned in the distance, but the area immediately around them was safe. He gathered his officers and discussed the next steps. Intelligence reports suggested that the alien empire would regroup, but they would think twice before underestimating humans again. Alex thought about Princess Lena. He did not know her intentions, but he could sense that she was different. She was not like the other aliens he had fought. There was curiosity in her eyes, and perhaps even admiration. Alex knew that this battle had changed something fundamental. Humans had survived, but they had also made an impression on their enemy. As he sat down to rest for a few moments, Alex reflected on everything that had happened. The sky above was filled with smoke and stars, and the city below was a scarred battlefield. Human lives had been lost, but their spirit remained. He knew that this was only the beginning. The war was not over, and new challenges awaited. Yet, for the first time, he felt a small sense of hope. Humans could endure, and they could fight in ways no one expected. Princess Lena's eyes lingered on the humans as they worked through the night. She whispered to herself again, words that Alex could not understand. Yet her expression changed slightly, almost like a smile. Humans were strange, unpredictable, and somehow remarkable. She had expected to see fear, but she saw something entirely different: strength, courage, and an unwillingness to give up. Alex Carter did not yet know that this moment would mark the beginning of something larger than any battle. Humans had survived the impossible, and they had caught the attention of someone who could change the course of the war. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel that humans were not just soldiers. They were special in ways even aliens could not predict. The night was quiet, but Alex could feel the tension in the air. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new fights, and perhaps new alliances. For now, humans survived. They had endured, they had fought, and they had proved that even against impossible odds, they were not to be underestimated. The battle had ended, but the story of survival was only beginning. The morning sun rose over the ruined city, casting long shadows across broken buildings. Alex Carter stood on a high rooftop, scanning the streets below. The humans were still securing the area, moving carefully among rubble and fallen drones. Although the battle had ended, tension filled the air. Alex knew that the alien empire would not forget this defeat, and that the princess watching from the shadows might act soon. Princess Lena appeared at the edge of the plaza. Her movements were graceful, almost floating, but she made no attempt to hide. Alex noticed her immediately. She was alone, unarmed, yet there was an authority in her presence that commanded attention. He could not understand her language, but her body language spoke volumes. She wanted to communicate, and she wanted to see him. Alex signaled his second-in-command, Claire Dawson, to stay with the soldiers. Then he moved toward the princess slowly, keeping his hands visible. Every step was careful. He remembered how unpredictable aliens could be, and Lena was no ordinary enemy. She stopped at a short distance and tilted her head, her glowing eyes studying him. Alex took a deep breath and spoke, using the universal translator. "I am Commander Alex Carter," he said. "We fought hard and we survived. What do you want?" Princess Lena's voice was soft yet firm. The translator worked, but her tone was calm, almost curious. "I want to understand," she said. "Your people, they are strange." "I expected fear, panic, and surrender. Instead, I see strength and mercy." "Why?" Alex hesitated, then answered honestly. "Humans fight because we have to, not because we want to. We survive by thinking, by helping each other, and by refusing to give up. Fear is natural, but we do not let it control us." Lena listened carefully. She took a few steps closer. The plaza was empty except for them now, a rare moment of silence after the chaos. She pointed to a wounded alien soldier lying on the ground. "Your people helped them," she said. "Even after fighting, you protect the enemy. Why?" Alex looked at the soldier. Indeed, human medics had bandaged his wounds and offered food and water. Alex shrugged lightly. "Because we can," he said. "Because it is right. Killing is easy, surviving is hard, and surviving without honor is worse. We are humans, we do not just fight. We endure, we protect, and sometimes we forgive." Lena's expression changed slightly. She was intrigued. She had seen many species across the galaxy, but humans were different. They were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but they had something unexpected. She could not name it, but she could feel it. It was something rare, something that could not be ignored. "You are special," she said finally. Her words were quiet, yet they carried weight. Alex felt a strange warmth at her words, even though he barely knew her. It was unusual for an enemy to recognize value in a human, much less admit it aloud. Alex nodded, careful not to show too much surprise. "Maybe," he said, "but we are also fragile. We lose, we get hurt, and sometimes we fail. Being human is not about being perfect. It is about trying even when everything is against us." Lena considered his words. She took a small step closer, studying his face. "Your species adapts quickly," she said. "Even when the outcome is certain, you find a way to survive. It is remarkable." Alex felt a small smile form. He had learned to accept praise cautiously, especially from aliens. "We do what we must," he said. "Fear does not stop us. Strategy and courage do. We survive by working together, not alone. That is our strength." They walked together through the ruined streets. Alex showed her where human medics were treating both humans and aliens alike. Soldiers carried supplies to those who needed them, while others repaired damaged equipment. Lena observed silently, her glowing eyes tracking every movement. She noticed small gestures humans made. A hand on a shoulder, a word of encouragement, a shared ration of food. These were not tactics or orders, they were choices humans made naturally. "Your people, they are not just fighters," Lena said. "They care for others, even enemies. No other species does this." "Why?" Alex stopped for a moment, looking at the sky above the damaged city. "Because we understand loss," he said. "We know what it is to lose everything, and we do not want others to feel the same pain. Protecting someone is not weakness, it is strength." Lena seemed to consider this. She walked alongside him, careful not to get too close, yet unwilling to leave his side. The city was quiet except for the occasional distant explosion. They passed alien civilians hiding in buildings. The humans helped them, giving water, blankets, and directions to safety. Lena watched their every action, noting how humans made choices freely, not because they were ordered. "I expected humans to be easy to defeat," she said finally. "I expected fear and surrender. Instead, I see bravery, mercy, and intelligence. You are unusual." Alex looked at her carefully. "We survive by learning, by caring, and by refusing to give up. We are not perfect. We make mistakes, but we do not stop trying." Lena nodded slowly. "You teach even without speaking," she said. "Your actions show more than words ever could." Humans, they are special indeed. They reached a central plaza that had once been the heart of the alien city. The ruins of a palace loomed nearby, shattered but imposing. Alex knew that this was where the alien command had once controlled the city. He also knew that Lena was the key to what remained of the alien empire. If she could be reasoned with, perhaps further destruction could be avoided. "You see strength where others see weakness," Alex said quietly. "That is why humans survive. We do not give up even when everything seems lost. We help each other, we fight together, and we learn from our mistakes." Lena's eyes glowed slightly. She studied the humans moving through the city, working, helping, and surviving. She noticed small details. A soldier giving a ration to a child, another sharing water with an alien civilian, a medic tending to a wounded enemy. She had never seen such behavior in her empire. Victory usually meant death or submission, yet humans acted differently. "Why do you protect your enemies?" she asked again. "Why not destroy them when you can?" Alex thought carefully. "Because destroying them does not win anything," he said. "It only creates more enemies. We survive by learning, by showing mercy, and by being better than the threat we face. Sometimes winning means choosing not to fight. Sometimes winning means protecting life, even if it is not yours." Lena remained silent for a moment. She looked at him, trying to understand. In her empire, mercy was weakness and strength meant domination. Yet humans acted differently. They survived not because they were stronger, but because they endured, they adapted, they cared, they fought with intelligence and conscience. "You are not like other humans," she said finally. "You are special, Commander Alex Carter. Your people, they are special." Alex nodded. He felt a mix of pride and caution. Praise from an enemy was unusual, and he knew that trust had to be earned carefully. Yet there was a connection forming, fragile but real. Lena was curious, not hostile. She had begun to see humanity in a new light. They continued walking, passing more ruins and rubble. The humans were still clearing the streets, organizing supplies, and assisting civilians. Lena observed every action, every decision. She could see why humans had survived impossible odds. It was not luck. It was courage, intelligence, and heart. "Your people are not just soldiers," she said quietly. "They are thinkers, protectors, and survivors." "No empire has ever faced humans like this before." Alex smiled faintly. "We do what we must," he said. "We fight, we protect, and we endure. That is how humans survive. It is not magic, not power, just will and choice. We survive by refusing to give up, even when everything is against us." Lena nodded, a small glow forming on her chest. She had seen much in her life, yet humans were different. She realized that the galaxy might underestimate them at its peril. Their courage, their mercy, and their ability to endure were remarkable. Humans could survive anything, and perhaps even inspire change in those who had never expected it. As the sun climbed higher, Lena finally stepped back. She had seen enough for now. Alex returned to his team, signaling them to continue securing the city. The humans worked tirelessly, tired but determined. Lena watched from a distance, her eyes following every movement. She had seen strength, courage, and mercy, qualities she had never expected from a species so small and fragile. For Alex, the encounter left a deep impression. He realized that humans had survived not just because of tactics or weapons, but because of who they were. Their choices, their endurance, and their willingness to protect even enemies had earned them recognition. Even an alien princess could see that humans were special. The day continued with humans and aliens cautiously coexisting in the ruins. The battle had ended, but understanding had begun. A fragile connection had formed between enemies, a recognition of courage and mercy that might change the future. Alex knew that humans had survived the impossible, but he also knew that survival was only the beginning. The city remained quiet after the battle, but the air was heavy with tension. Alex Carter walked through the streets, inspecting the work of his soldiers. They were clearing debris, tending to the wounded, and organizing supplies for those who had survived. The humans had proven themselves in combat, but survival meant more than winning battles. It meant caring for life even in the midst of destruction. Princess Lena appeared again, standing at a distance on a ruined rooftop. She had watched Alex and his team all morning, studying every decision they made, every choice that humans took in a situation that could have easily broken them. She had expected chaos, fear, and violence, but instead she saw order, compassion, and persistence. She could not help but feel curious, and a strange admiration began to grow. Alex noticed her immediately. This time he did not approach alone. He brought Claire Dawson and a few trusted officers. He wanted to maintain caution, but he also wanted to learn why the princess lingered. She had the power to command an army, yet she did not strike. Instead, she observed. "Princess Lena," Alex said, activating the translator. "Why do you continue to watch? Your forces are gone and the city is under human control. You could leave." Lena's voice was calm, melodic, and steady. "I wish to understand," she said. "Humans do not act like other species. Even in victory, you show mercy. Even when you could destroy, you protect. This is unusual." Alex nodded. Humans survive because we endure. We fight, yes, but we also care. Fear does not control us, and mercy is not weakness. We protect because we can, because it matters. It is how we have survived so far. Lena stepped closer, curious but careful. Your people, they are remarkable. Even those who were wounded, they continue to act. Even when the outcome seems hopeless, you do not surrender. Why? Alex paused, thinking of the soldiers who had fallen in the battle. He remembered the faces of his team, brave and determined, giving everything to survive and to protect. Because we do not give up, he said. We endure and we help each other. Survival is not just about winning battles. It is about keeping life, learning from mistakes, and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The princess studied him, her glowing eyes following his movements. She had seen many civilizations, many species that relied on strength and fear to control others. Humans were different. They were not the strongest, the fastest, or the most technologically advanced, but they had courage, intelligence, and a willingness to care. It was a combination she had never expected. Alex gestured toward a group of humans helping alien civilians who had survived the battle. They carried water, blankets, and medical supplies. Lena watched quietly, impressed by their actions. She could see that humans acted from choice, not obligation. There were no orders forcing them to show kindness. It was a natural part of their nature. Your species is special, Lena said softly. You are not like other humans I have heard about in stories. You are stronger, wiser, and kinder. It is unexpected. Alex smiled faintly. He felt the weight of her words. Praise from an enemy was rare, and from a princess even more so, yet it also carried caution. Humans had survived because they understood danger, and he knew that trust had to be earned carefully. We do what we must, he said. Sometimes that is fighting, sometimes that is helping, and sometimes that is protecting those who cannot fight. Being human means making choices, even when they are difficult. Lena walked with him through the streets. She noted how humans worked together, how they communicated without conflict, and how they ensured that every wounded person, human or alien, received care. She began to understand that humans survived because of their cooperation, their thoughtfulness, and their courage. It was not raw strength that kept them alive, but strategy and conscience. Your people, they inspire, she said quietly. I have never seen such determination and mercy combined. It is remarkable. Alex looked at her carefully. We survive by refusing to become what others expect us to be. We do not surrender to fear. We do not act cruelly because we can. We fight, yes, but we also protect and endure. That is what makes us human. Lena's eyes glowed brighter as she listened. She realized that humans had survived the impossible not by power but by will. They had fought a battle that should have ended in defeat, yet they adapted, learned, and endured. Their actions were not random. They were deliberate, intelligent, and compassionate. Your people are rare, she said softly. No species I know acts like this. You do not simply fight for victory. You fight for survival, for honor, for life. It is unique. Alex nodded, thinking of the soldiers around him, the humans he had led through fire and destruction. He remembered those who had fallen, those who had survived, and those who had shown courage when everything seemed lost. We do what we must, he said again. Sometimes that means fighting, sometimes helping, sometimes enduring pain and fear, but we do not give up. Survival is about more than victory. It is about living with conscience and courage. Lena watched as humans continued their work, organizing supplies, helping the wounded, and protecting those who could not protect themselves. She could see why Alex's species had survived so many challenges across the galaxy. They were not only resilient, they were thoughtful, adaptable, and kind. She realized that strength without compassion was meaningless, and humans had shown her a new way of surviving. I see why you survived, she said finally. It is not your weapons, not your technology. It is your will, your courage, and your heart. Humans are extraordinary. Alex felt a quiet pride. He had never expected such recognition from an alien princess, yet he understood that it came from observation and understanding, not empty words. Lena had watched humans closely and understood their nature. He knew that humans had made an impression on someone who could influence her people. They continued walking until they reached the central ruins of the palace. Alex looked at the broken towers and crumbled walls. This had once been the center of alien power, now claimed by humans. Lena stood beside him, silent, her eyes glowing softly. She had seen enough to know that humans were not a threat she could ignore, nor were they enemies she could dismiss. They were something new, something important. "You have changed how I see humans," she said quietly. "Your people, they are not what I expected. They are strong, brave, and compassionate. You are special, Alex Carter, and so are they." Alex looked at her, unsure how to respond. He had been trained to lead, to survive, to fight, but praise from an alien princess was not something he had anticipated. "Thank you," he said simply. "But we are only humans. We make mistakes, we fail, and we hurt. Survival is about learning, enduring, and protecting others. That is what makes us different." Lena nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. She had witnessed acts of courage and mercy, decisions made in the heat of battle, and the resilience of a species that refused to break. She realized that humans were remarkable not because of strength, but because of choice. They chose to endure, to fight, and to care. As the sun reached its peak, humans continued their work, rebuilding order from chaos. Soldiers organized supplies, medics tended to wounds, and civilians were guided to safe areas. Lena observed every detail, her admiration growing. She had expected chaos, fear, and surrender, but humans had shown her courage, intelligence, and mercy. They were truly special. Alex watched his soldiers and the civilians, proud of what they had accomplished. Humans had survived the impossible not by raw power, but by will, courage, and conscience. He knew that this battle had not only proven their strength, but had also earned recognition from an alien princess who could influence the future of her empire. "Humans are rare," Lena said again, almost to herself. "They survive not because of weapons, not because of numbers, but because they endure. They fight, protect, and adapt. They are extraordinary." Alex smiled quietly. He had learned that survival was more than tactics or skill. It was about choices, endurance, and courage. Humans had survived because they refused to surrender to fear, and they had earned respect from someone who had never seen such resilience before. As the day drew on, Lena stepped back, observing the humans from a distance. She had learned much in a short time. Humans were not perfect, but they were capable of greatness. She had seen mercy, courage, and intelligence combined in ways she had never expected. She realized that humans could survive anything, and perhaps even change the galaxy in ways she could not yet imagine. Alex returned to his team, signaling them to continue their work. Humans worked tirelessly, rebuilding, protecting, and caring. The princess watched silently, understanding that humans were special, remarkable, and resilient. The connection between them was fragile but real, a recognition of courage and mercy that might shape the future. The battle had ended, but the story of survival and understanding was only beginning. Humans had survived impossible odds, and in doing so, had earned the attention and respect of someone who could change the course of the war. Alex knew that the coming days would be challenging, but for the first time, he felt a sense of hope. Humans were special, and now even Princess Lena knew it. The day after the battle, the city was still quiet, but tension lingered in the air. Alex Carter walked through the streets with his officers, assessing the damage and ensuring that survivors were safe. The humans had won the battle, but victory was fragile. The alien empire was strong, and they would not forget this loss. Alex knew that survival required more than courage. It required planning, strategy, and alliances. Princess Lena appeared again, this time closer to the human command post. She moved with quiet grace, unarmed, observing the humans as they organized supplies and treated the wounded. Her glowing eyes followed every decision Alex made. She had seen how humans acted in the heat of battle, and now she was learning how they worked afterward. It was unusual for an alien royal to linger in enemy territory, but Lena was not like other leaders. She was curious, and perhaps even beginning to trust the humans. "Commander Alex Carter," she said, her voice calm through the translator. "I have seen your people. They fight, they endure, and they protect. But there is a new threat approaching. We must speak." Alex stopped, turning to face her. His soldiers paused, unsure of what to expect. Lena's words carried weight. She did not speak lightly, and the mention of a new threat made his heart tighten. "What kind of threat?" he asked. "Something older than our empires," Lena said. "Something powerful, relentless. It moves through space, destroying everything in its path. Even my empire fears it. Your humans may survive battles, but this could end worlds." Alex felt a chill. He had faced alien armies, rogue mercenaries, and harsh conditions on foreign worlds, but nothing like this. He had trained for survival, for combat, for strategy, but an unstoppable force approaching was something entirely different. "What do you propose?" he asked. Lena looked at him steadily. "An alliance," she said simply. "My empire alone cannot stop this threat. Neither can your humans. Together we might have a chance. Together we could survive." Alex considered her words carefully. Alliances with aliens were always risky. Trust was difficult to earn and betrayal was common. Yet he could see the truth in her eyes. This was not a trick, not a test. This was a warning. He had learned from the battle that humans could endure impossible odds, but this threat was unlike anything he had faced before. "Humans do not give up," Alex said finally. "We endure. If your people will fight alongside us, we will stand together. Survival is not about numbers or power. It is about will and courage." Lena nodded, her glowing eyes steady. "Then we will fight together," she said. "We have no choice. This threat does not negotiate, it does not show mercy. Only strength and unity can stand against it." Alex gathered his officers to discuss the alliance. Claire Dawson and the others were cautious but understood the necessity. Humans had survived against overwhelming odds before, but this required strategy, preparation, and trust. They would have to coordinate with aliens they had fought against only days ago. It was difficult, but there was no alternative. The next hours were filled with planning. Alex met with alien officers, discussing troop movements, resource allocation, and defensive positions. Lena stood nearby, observing and occasionally offering advice. She respected the humans' approach, their careful decisions, and their willingness to protect even alien civilians. She began to see why humans survived where others failed. They acted with intelligence and conscience, not just brute force. As they planned, scouts returned with reports of the approaching threat. Massive ships, unlike anything in known space, moved through the system. They were fast, heavily armed, and unstoppable in appearance. Their purpose was clear: destruction. Both humans and aliens could see the danger, and fear rippled through the ranks. Alex took a deep breath. He had faced fear before, but this was different. Yet he remembered what had carried humans through previous battles: courage, adaptation, and teamwork. He looked at Lena and she met his gaze. They did not need words. They both understood that survival depended on cooperation, on uniting two species that had been enemies only days ago. "We cannot face them divided," Alex said. "Humans fight as a team and we protect each other. If we combine our strengths with your people, we can stand a chance. We will need every hand, every mind, every soldier." Lena nodded. "And we will have them," she said. "My people will follow me. They will fight not for conquest, but for survival. Together we will prepare." The humans and aliens began to work side by side. Engineers repaired damaged vehicles, medics trained together to handle new types of injuries, and soldiers shared tactics. Mistrust lingered, but necessity drove them forward. Alex watched as humans taught alien soldiers how to improvise and adapt, and he noticed that Lena's people began to learn quickly. Humans were patient teachers, and their example inspired confidence. Over the next few days, the alliance grew stronger. Humans and aliens conducted joint drills, tested weapons, and planned defensive strategies. Alex marveled at how quickly Lena's forces adapted to human methods. The princess had chosen carefully, selecting those who could learn and survive. She observed constantly, ensuring that her people followed instructions and understood the value of cooperation. One evening, Alex and Lena walked through the city together. Fires from distant skirmishes lit the sky, but the humans and aliens moved with purpose. Soldiers trained, engineers repaired, and civilians were evacuated. The princess spoke quietly, her voice calm and measured. "Humans are remarkable," she said. "Even in the face of fear, they act with courage and reason. They do not panic. They protect, they endure, and they inspire. I have never seen a species like this." Alex smiled faintly. "We survive by refusing to give up. Fear is natural, but it does not control us. We fight, we protect, and we endure. It is not perfect, but it works." Lena studied him for a moment. "Your people, they may be the key to survival," she said. "Not just for themselves, but for the galaxy. They fight differently than any species I have encountered. They endure where others fail. Perhaps this is why they are special." Alex looked at the soldiers working together with alien troops, repairing vehicles and preparing defenses. He realized she was right. Humans were special, not because of strength or technology, but because of resilience, intelligence, and choice. They could survive anything because they refused to surrender to fear or cruelty. As night fell, scouts reported the approach of the enemy fleet. Massive ships moved through the system like shadows, unstoppable and silent. Humans and aliens alike prepared for the coming attack. Alex stood on a rooftop looking at the horizon. Lena joined him, silent and calm. Together they observed the enemy approaching, knowing that the coming battle would test everything they had built. "We will fight together," Lena said quietly. "And we will survive," Alex nodded. "Humans endure. We fight, we protect, and we adapt. Together we can face anything." The city was ready, the soldiers prepared, and the alliance formed. Humans and aliens stood side by side, their differences set aside for the sake of survival. They had faced fear, death, and impossible odds before, and they had endured. Now a greater challenge approached, and only unity, courage, and intelligence could protect them. Lena looked at Alex, her glowing eyes steady. She had seen human strength, human courage, and human mercy. She understood that this species could survive anything, and that their methods, intelligent, compassionate, and relentless, were a force that even her empire had never seen before. "You are special, Alex Carter," she said quietly. "Your people are special. Together we may survive this threat and perhaps even change the future." Alex felt a quiet determination. Humans had survived against impossible odds before, and they would endure again. The coming battle would be the greatest test they had faced, but he knew that with courage, intelligence, and cooperation, survival was possible. He looked at the horizon, at the approaching enemy, and prepared his soldiers for the fight ahead. The night passed with tense preparation. Humans and aliens moved together, sharing knowledge, strength, and hope. Alex walked among his soldiers, encouraging them, ensuring that everyone understood their roles. Lena observed quietly, recognizing that humans had something deeper than skill or technology. They had endurance, conscience, and courage that could inspire others. By dawn, the city was ready. Humans and aliens stood side by side, weapons prepared, defenses set, and strategies coordinated. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility, and looked at Lena. Together, they had built an alliance that was fragile but strong. They had survived impossible odds before, and they would endure again. The enemy fleet was close now, massive ships cutting through space with deadly precision. Humans and aliens alike prepared for the coming storm. Alex raised his hand, signaling readiness. Lena's eyes glowed brightly as she stepped forward. Together, they would face the threat, united not by choice, but by necessity. The galaxy would see humans fight not as weak or fragile, but as survivors, leaders, and protectors. And in the coming battle, the alliance they had formed would be tested as never before. The first light of dawn glimmered over the ruined city as Alex Carter and his soldiers prepared for the coming battle. The humans had joined forces with the alien forces under Princess Lena's command. Together, they had repaired vehicles, fortified defenses, and trained side by side. The enemy fleet loomed in the distance, massive ships casting shadows across the planet's atmosphere. The tension was thick, but determination was stronger. Alex walked among his troops, checking equipment and giving quiet words of encouragement. The humans were exhausted from previous battles, but their eyes were bright with focus and courage. They knew that this was more than a fight for the city. It was a fight for survival. Lena's alien soldiers moved with disciplined precision, their weapons and armor unmatched in raw power, but they had never faced an enemy like the humans before. Alex could see that the aliens had begun to respect the humans' courage and intelligence. Princess Lena stood at the edge of the command center, her eyes glowing softly as she watched both sides prepare. She had seen the humans fight, endure, and protect even their enemies. She had witnessed their intelligence, their courage, and their mercy. Now, in the face of a threat that could destroy both species, she placed her trust in them. It was a choice she had not made lightly, but she understood that survival required more than power. It required unity, strategy, and courage. "Humans endure," Alex said quietly as he approached Lena. "We fight, we protect, and we adapt. Together we can face anything." Lena nodded. "I have seen it," she said softly. "Your people are special, Alex Carter. Together we may survive this threat and protect more than just our own lives. You have shown me that strength is not just power, it is courage, intelligence, and conscience." The enemy fleet advanced steadily, massive ships cutting through space with an eerie silence. Humans and aliens alike watched, feeling the weight of the approaching danger. The ships were unlike anything they had ever seen, fast, heavily armed, and seemingly unstoppable. Yet the Alliance had hope, and hope was stronger than fear. Alex gave orders calmly but firmly. Humans and aliens moved together, coordinating defenses and preparing for the attack. Human engineers worked with alien technicians to strengthen shields and repair weapons. Medics trained together to handle injuries from both species. Soldiers shared tactics, learning from each other's strengths. The city, once a battlefield, became a center of preparation, a symbol of unity and determination. As the enemy fleet entered the planet's atmosphere, warning sirens echoed across the city. The massive ships fired energy blasts that shook the ground and lit the sky. Humans and aliens fought side by side, moving strategically through the streets, using cover and protecting civilians wherever possible. Alex led from the front, directing soldiers and coordinating attacks. Lena commanded her forces with precision, ensuring that humans and aliens worked together seamlessly. The first wave of attacks hit with devastating force. Energy beams cut through buildings and vehicles, leaving destruction in their wake. Human soldiers adapted quickly, using clever tactics to outmaneuver the enemy. Alien soldiers brought raw power and heavy weaponry to bear, creating openings for humans to exploit. Together, they pushed back the attackers, fighting with intelligence, courage, and determination. Alex saw a group of human soldiers trapped under debris, with enemy drones approaching. Without hesitation, he charged forward, helping to lift the rubble and drive back the attackers. Lena noticed his bravery and quickly sent a squad of alien soldiers to assist. Together, they saved the humans and drove the enemy away. The scene demonstrated the strength of cooperation and the courage that humans and aliens shared. As the battle continued, Alex noticed civilians trapped in a collapsed building. He signaled to his soldiers and moved quickly to rescue them. Lena observed silently, her glowing eyes following every action. Humans risked their lives not only to fight the enemy but to protect the innocent. Their bravery was not reckless. It was deliberate, intelligent, and guided by conscience. The enemy pressed on, waves of ships and drones moving in relentless patterns. Humans adapted constantly, creating traps and strategies that the aliens had never seen before. Lena began to understand why humans had survived so many wars and challenges. It was not their strength, not their weapons, but their intelligence, their courage, and their ability to endure and adapt. Alex fought alongside his soldiers, coordinating attacks, protecting civilians, and adapting to the enemy's tactics. He noticed how alien soldiers, inspired by humans, began to change their approach, using strategy and intelligence rather than relying solely on strength. Lena watched with quiet satisfaction, realizing that humans had taught her people something valuable. Survival depended not on power alone, but on teamwork, courage, and conscience. Hours passed, and the battle raged across the city. Humans and aliens moved as one, protecting each other, rescuing civilians, and pushing back the enemy. Alex felt exhaustion, but he refused to stop. He remembered the words of Lena, the respect she had shown, and the understanding that humans could survive anything. Every step he took, every life he protected, strengthened the alliance. As the enemy began a final assault, massive ships unleashed energy blasts that destroyed several human and alien vehicles. Civilians screamed and scattered. Alex led a counterattack, using intelligence and strategy to disrupt the enemy's formation. Lena coordinated alien forces to block reinforcements, ensuring that the humans could focus on defense and rescue. Together, they created a pattern of cooperation that was unmatched. During a critical moment, a massive energy cannon aimed at the city's center. Alex realized that if it fired, countless lives would be lost. Without hesitation, he led a small team to disable the cannon. Human soldiers moved with precision, using cover and timing to avoid destruction. Alien soldiers followed, trusting humans completely. The cannon was destroyed moments before it could fire, saving the city and countless lives. Lena watched the event in awe. Humans had risked their lives not for glory, not for conquest, but to protect others. Their bravery and intelligence had changed the course of the battle. She realized that humans were not just survivors. They were leaders, protectors, and a force that could inspire others. As the sun began to set, the enemy fleet withdrew, battered and broken. Humans and aliens cheered, exhausted but victorious. The city was scarred, but it had survived. Civilians emerged from hiding, thanking the soldiers who had protected them. Alex looked at his people, tired but proud, knowing that they had done something extraordinary. Lena approached him, her glowing eyes reflecting the fires of the city. She extended a hand, a gesture of respect and admiration. "You are special, Alex Carter," she said softly. "Your people are extraordinary. You fight not just for victory, but for life, for conscience, and for hope. I have never seen a species like yours. Humans are truly remarkable." Alex shook her hand, feeling a deep sense of connection. He had led humans through impossible odds, and now they had earned recognition not only from their allies but from an alien princess who understood courage and conscience. "Thank you, Princess Lena," he said. "Humans survive because we endure, we protect, and we fight with heart. We do not give up even when everything seems lost." Lena smiled faintly. She had learned much from humans over the past days. Their courage, intelligence, and mercy had changed her perspective. She realized that humans could survive anything, and that their methods, intelligent, compassionate, and relentless, were a force that even her empire had never seen before. The city was quiet now, the battle over. Humans and aliens moved among the ruins, helping rebuild, treating the wounded, and ensuring that life continued. Alex and Lena walked together, observing the recovery. They had survived impossible odds, and in doing so had created a bond of trust and respect that could shape the future. "Your people have earned more than survival," Lena said quietly. "They have earned respect, trust, and a place in history. Humans are not just fighters, they are protectors, leaders, and survivors. I will ensure that the galaxy knows this." Alex nodded, looking at the city and the people who had endured. He realized that humans had won not because of strength alone, but because of courage, intelligence, and conscience. They had survived impossible odds, protected life, and inspired respect even from those who had been enemies. As night fell, the stars shone over the ruined city. Humans and aliens alike worked together to rebuild and recover. Alex stood with Lena, knowing that the battle had changed everything. Humans had survived, and in doing so they had proven that courage, intelligence, and compassion could triumph even in the face of overwhelming danger. Princess Lena looked at him, her expression calm but filled with admiration. "You are special, Alex Carter," she said again. "And so are your people. The galaxy will remember what humans can endure and achieve. They are not weak. They are extraordinary." Alex smiled faintly, feeling a sense of pride and hope. Humans had faced impossible odds, adapted, survived, and protected life even when everything seemed lost. They had earned respect, forged alliances, and demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and conscience were stronger than fear or destruction. The city was safe for now. The battle had ended, but the story of survival, courage, and understanding would continue. Humans had survived the impossible, earned the trust of an alien princess, and shown that their choices, their endurance, and their heart made them truly special. As Alex looked at Lena and the city they had saved, he knew one thing for certain: humans would endure. They would protect, fight, and adapt. They were not perfect, but they were extraordinary. The galaxy had learned this truth, and it would never forget. Humans had survived the impossible, and in doing so had changed the course of the future. They were leaders, protectors, and survivors. And Princess Lena, who had once been an enemy, now recognized the power of their courage and the strength of their conscience. Together, humans and aliens looked toward the future, ready for whatever challenges might come. The alliance they had formed was strong, based on trust, respect, and the understanding that survival required more than strength. It required heart, intelligence, and courage. Alex Carter smiled as he watched his soldiers, exhausted but alive, and the alien forces, learning to trust and adapt. Humans had survived, and in doing so, they had earned their place among the stars. And Princess Lena whispered to herself, watching the humans with quiet admiration. "They are special, truly special. The galaxy will never see them the same way again."